Okay, dear students, welcome back to the fourth video of this series. Uh, we'll discuss nested try statement in exception handling. We have been discussing different nested blocks like nested if, nested loop, all these things we have been covering in past. Today we'll see that how nested try statement works. Remember, when a try block is kept inside another try block, this actually is called the nested try block. Now, in a try block, if it has a matching catch, would be executed, else outer would be referred to. It means that any exception which is generated inside in a try block, it can be caught by the catch which is immediately available to it. I mean, a catch within in a try block. In case if it is not available, then a matching catch block, if it is available in the outer try, that would be executed. Right. But remember, other way around is not possible. If you have an exception in the outer try block, and if you expect that an inner try block will catch the exception, that won't happen. Right. That is because of the scoping rules in Java. Let's see one example. So here I'm going to make a new file. I have a class, I call it nested try demo. Right. Now inside this class, as usual, we have public static void main string arg, all these things you are well aware. Right. Okay. Now say for example, I have got a try, and this try has got a catch. Right. Remember, catch cannot be empty. It has to have a type of the exception that this catch block is going to catch. Right. Okay. Now here I'm going to write another try, and this try has a catch here. Right. So you know that this second try is actually the nested try block. Right. And this catch block belongs to the inner try. Remember, any exception which is thrown in the outer try will not be able to be caught by this catch block. Right. But if there is an exception in this try block, and if this catch does not match, then obviously that exception will be kind of thrown in the outer try as well, because this is not only part of the inner try, but it is also part of the outer try. So the control will be broken from here, and it will look for the matching catch even for the outer block. So you can see, in case if an exception is appearing inside this try, if this catch is not matching, then if this catch is matching, it will be executed. Right. Okay. Let's do some situation where exception will be thrown. Right. So say for example, I have got an integer. I say integer a equal to 20. Right. And then I say integer b equal to 0. Right. And then integer c equal to a divided by b. Right. You know that this is a typical situation where arithmetic exception will appear. Okay. Now, if I have here, say for example, an array of integer, I call it array, and this has values 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. Right. It has got 4 values, and as the indexing rules, the first value is at the 0th location, then first, second, and third location. What I'm trying to do, I'm writing here system.out.println. I say array at 5. Now you know that this location is not existing because the last index is 4, rather 3, because this is on 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and I'm referring to element number 5, which is not existing in this array. You know that this is the array index out of bounds exception. Right. Now what I'm going to do, inside this catch, I say arithmetic exception. Right. I'm displaying this message system.out.println print ln, and then I just display e, right? And for this, I'm writing, array index out of bounds exception, right? Okay, so here I can say system dot out dot println. I display e, but I also display a message so that we are clear which try block has been executed. So I can write a system dot out dot println. I say outer cache, right? And here I say system dot out dot println. I say inner cache, right? Now see this situation. Now in this situation, you know that when an exception appears in the try block, the try block immediately exists, right? You know that the rest of the statements inside try block will never be executed. Now in this case, exception will appear here. It means that Java runtime environment will see where this try is ending. Now you know that this try is actually ending here. It means that this try block will be terminated. All this code will not be executed, and it will look for outer try. I mean the cache block outside the try. So obviously this is an arithmetic exception, whereas we have this cache block for array index out of bounds exception. So obviously this will not execute, and default handler of Java will come into action, and that does nothing. That actually displays the information about exception, and it terminates the program, which means that if I have got a statement here, if I say system.out.println, we'll say after outer cache, that this part will not be executed, because in this case the default handler will be used. Remember, we have a situation of arithmetic exception, and arithmetic exception cache block is there, but the problem is it is part of the inner try. It is corresponding to the nested try, and a very common sense that when exception occurs here, that this try block will immediately exit. It will look for where the try block is ending. It means it will ignore all this code up to this point, and then it matches the cache. And obviously the exception is of type arithmetic, so this array index out of bounds exception will not match. So a default handler will come into action, and then it will display the information about the exception and then terminate the program, which means that this part will not be executed. Let's check it. Nested try demo.java. Nested try demo.java. Okay, so Java C nested try demo.java, array index out, that is not the right name. Okay, array index out of bounds exception. Okay. Java C, come on. Array index out of bounds. Okay. Array index out of bounds exception. Right. Okay. Now nested demo. So the output will be, it will display information about the exception, and it will not run the last statement. So you can see here, we say arithmetic exception division by 0, and that appears at the line number 10. And the point to understand is this cache block never executed. This cache block, although it was there, but the problem is because this is inside the nested try, so exception appears here. This try will be terminated. It will first try for this cache, but obviously this does not match. Then default handler come into action. Right. Okay. Now, if say for example, I do not have a situation here, right? Now you know that it will enter into internal try block. It will come here. We are now having a situation in which array index out of bounds exception will appear. You know that this situation is here. You know this array index out of bounds will appear here. First, it will try to match the inner cache. Now this is the inner cache, but this will not execute. You know the reason. The reason is, you know, this is the exception type array index out of bound, whereas the cache block is for arithmetic. So obviously this will not execute. Then JRE will check if there is another cache block for the outer, and if it matches, then it will be executed. So in this case, you know that this cache block will match, right? So exception thrown in the inner try will actually be caught by a cache which was originally we provided for the outer cache, for the outer try. So this will match and this will execute. So it will display outer cache, it will display information about the exception, and then you know program will not be terminated because this time the exception is being handled by a cache block that we provided, not by the default handler. So it means that this will execute and you know rest of the program flow will also continue. Right? Let's check it. So Java C, okay, Java, next. You can see here, outer cache executed, then it gives information about the exception that you are trying index 5, which is out of bound of length 4, and then you know after cache, after outer cache, right? Now remember one thing, when there is an exception inside try block, you know that this try block will exit, it will look for cache block, and then it will go to you know outer cache. It means that anything which is written here, anything which is written here, that won't be executed because that makes sense. When you have exception in the inner try, it actually kind of terminates the outer try as well because it is looking for the cache block, right? So say for example, if I have got a statement here, system.out.println, I am inside try. I'm inside try. Okay, Java C, that's okay. But you know this statement will not be executed. After catch, then exception was here. So this try was terminated. It tried to execute this catch. No, it did not match. There is no another catch inside this try. So it actually kind of terminated the outer try, and then it tried for the outer catch, which actually fortunately matches. Right. But if say for example, exception does not appear, we are trying to access an index which is existing. So you know that it will display 3 and then try terminates, in a try terminates, you know cache will not be executed, and then outer try will continue. It is not necessary that you have a nested try and as soon as nested try ends, you also end the outer try, not required. So when this nested try ends, the outer try continues, and this statement will also be displayed. I am inside try, and then you know that when this terminates, then this cache block will not be executed because there has not been any exception situation, and then this statement will be executed. So in this case, there is no exception. It means that all these statements which we have written, like this statement, and also this statement, they will all execute. So the answer will be 3, and then I am inside try, and then after outer cache. Let's check it. You can see here 3, I am inside try, and after outer cache. Right. So you got an idea that we can have try inside another try, and in that case, the first effort would be, if there is an exception in the inner try, it will look for the matching cache block with inner try. If it matches, then it will be executed and the execution of outer try will continue. But if say for example that inner cache does not match, then the outer try will be terminated and control will look for the cache which is attached with the outer try. If it matches, it will be executed, and then rest of the program will continue executing. But say, for example, that outer catch also does not match with the exception, then it will actually the default handler which will come into action, and your program will be terminated, and then default handler will display the message. Okay, great. I end this video here. Please practice these concepts. Apparently they seem very easy. You might feel walk in the park, but I can tell you, without a lot of practice, you cannot earn expertise on all these ideas. And you know that these are very, very ideal concepts which we can, generate too many tricky MCQs, too many tricky, tracing the output. So, you know that these are the blessings for a teacher, but a nightmare for the student. So you have to do a lot of practice in order to have better expertise on these. I end this video here, and when you come back in the fifth video of this series, we will discuss about finally through and through. Yeah, the remaining three keywords that we need to discuss before completing exception handling chapter. Thank you very much.